Hi, everyone. Welcome to Senior Tech Club Live. And in fact, I'm going to call this the late night version of Senior Tech Club Live. Reason for that is this is a session that's being pre-recorded. So not unlike your late night television where they are oftentimes recorded during the day and then broadcast 10:30 at night, I'm kind of doing the same thing here. So I am pre-recording this session so that you are able to see this session for 10 o'clock on Monday morning. So today we are here to focus on the control center. All right, so today's focus, the title of this live session is Getting the Most from the Control Center. Now, the Control Center is one of those sets of controls on your iPhone that doesn't get a lot of attention. And a lot of times people encounter it accidentally. But there's some pretty handy functions on the control center. And so what we want to do is to help you get the most of the control center by number one, identifying what the control center is. Number two, we want to make sure that you're really solid on how you access the control center, regardless of what your device is. We're going to do a quick tour of the control center. And in fact, what I've done is I have identified my 5 handiest functions of the control center, and that'll be the basis of our tool. And then we're going to end the session today by talking about how you can customize the control center. Okay, so what is the control center? Well, it is the set of controls that you see on the screenshot that provides you instant access to many of the things that you do most, right? And it might be things like controlling your Bluetooth or Wi-Fi, or enabling your do not disturb, or this is the only place where there is a native switch to turn on the flashlight on your iPhone. One of the beauties about the control center is that you can access the control center from any app or any screen, regardless of whether it's the home screen or a lock screen, or if you're deep in a book, the Kindle app or the Libby app, you can still access the control center with a single swipe. Now, it turns out that I've shown this screen to different people, and they might say, oh, I don't use that. I bumped into it once accidentally. Well, one of the first things we want to do is make sure that you're real solid in terms of how you access the control center. The way you do that depends upon what device you have. All right. So when we're talking about iPhones, if you have an iPhone with a home button, that means an iPhone 6, 7, 8, or an iPhone SE, there is one strategy where you swipe up. We're going to demonstrate this in just a bit. Or if you have an iPhone without a home button, and that would be like your iPhone 10 or 11. All right, so let's explore. Our first example would be, how do you access the control center on an iPhone with a home button? All right, and so this happens to be my iPhone 6, right? And with the iPhone 6, you can see on the screenshot on the left-hand side, you are going to swipe up from the bottom of the screen. Now, very specifically, what I recommend is that you put your finger just adjacent, right next to the home button. And if you swipe up from there, that will expose the control center. Let me do a demonstration. Let me put my screen up on the right-hand side. And so here I put my finger on the edge of the screen next to the home button, and I can swipe up. In fact, I can move it around like this. I have very definite control over that control center. All right, so once again, you swipe up from the bottom of the screen, place your finger to the right of the home button, and slide up. Now, when you want to put that control center away, just press the home button. So if you're exploring this with me on your iPhone 6, 7, 8, or SE, finger next to the home button, swipe up, and that will retrieve that control center easily. Press the home button to put it away. All right, so now let's explore this using the using an iPhone without a home button. Excuse me 1 second here. I just have to bring up a new iPhone, and there it is. Okay, so now um, there we go. Okay, so accessing the control center when you do not have a home button. In this particular case, I tell people to put the finger on the battery icon up on the upper right. You put your finger right on that battery icon. There's nothing there to click. Nothing is going to happen. But then from that point, you slide down to expose the control center. To put the control center away, you can literally tap anywhere on the screen and it will go away. So done with a different description, you swipe down from the top right corner of the screen, place your finger on the battery icon, slide down, and then you can tap anywhere on the screen in order to put it away. So practice that a few times, all right, after we're done here today to make sure that you have a real definite access to the control center. For you to get the most out of the control center, you have to be really solid in how you access the device. Once again, on an iPhone without a home button, you swipe down from the top right. All right, so let's do a tour of the control center. And we're going to do this tour by identifying the top 5 handiest functions of the control center. And they will be identified in this top 5 list. Let's identify what they are. All right. All right. They're labeled 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 on this screen. The first one, number 1 on the screen, are the network controls. Right, so the network controls have there's a cluster of controls that allow you to turn your Wi-Fi off, turn your Bluetooth on and off, put your phone into airplane mode. Now, some of those are just as simple as doing a tap. So if I tap on the Bluetooth switch, my Bluetooth is now turned off. All right, and so it goes airplane, cellular data, Wi-Fi, and Bluetooth is the order. Now, but there's a surprise here. Right? And in fact, each of the top 5 handiest functions that I'm going to talk about here have a long press surprise. Now, what we mean by long press surprise is that you can press and hold on that network cluster and it will expand the controls, all right? So I'm going to tap anywhere to put that away. And so once again, the way we do this is you press and hold and it expands the number of controls that you have available. In addition to this expansion, I can now do a press and hold on Wi-Fi, and it not only allows me to turn it on and off, but it allows me to select a different Wi-Fi network. Similarly, if I put this away and press and hold on Bluetooth, it will actually allow me to display all of the Bluetooth devices. Now, I just had mine turned off, and so I don't have anything connected right at this particular point, but it'll give you a list of all of the Bluetooth devices. Pretty handy function, right? So once again, the um, the handy function number 1 that I wanted to talk about was that network cluster that allows you to turn on and off Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, and if you do a long press on it, it will expand the controls, allowing you to even switch Wi-Fi networks. Handy function number 2 is the audible controls. So the audible controls give you a play and a pause function for music, videos that you're watching, programs that you might be watching, even YouTube videos, podcasts, and it gives you a play and a pause control. So you're walking down the street doing one of your daily walks and you bump into a neighbor and and you're listening to a podcast and you would like to pause that podcast temporarily. So you don't want to go into the podcast app, you just want to pause it. So you can literally, with a single action, access the control center and you can put that podcast on pause. Similarly, there is a long press surprise, so that if you do a long press on the audio control, you now access a volume control. You also can access um, an identifier that allows you to select where your audio is playing. So if you happen to have Bluetooth speakers connected or other audio devices, it will identify where that audio is being played, right? So that's the long press surprise. That's handy function number 2, is the whole set of audio controls. Handy function number 3 is do not disturb. Right? So the do not disturb is the crescent moon, which is right toward the middle of the screen. So if you want to put your phone on do not disturb, right, because you're going into a meeting or you're going into a movie or a church service, you can just tap on do not disturb and that will put your phone into do not disturb mode and suppress the notifications and the phone calls, right? Pretty handy function. But there is a surprise in that if you do a long press on do not disturb, it actually gives you some options where you can say do not disturb for an hour. By the way, this is pretty handy because one of the dangers of turning on do not disturb is you then leave the meeting and you forget that you had put do not disturb on. Well, this would turn it on for an hour and then turn it back off. Or a second option is until this evening, or the third option is until I leave this location. Now think of this. So let's imagine you're going to a movie and you want to turn on do not disturb until I leave this location. What that means is do not disturb will then be on until you get in your car and drive away from the movie theater. Wonderful way to put your phone into do not disturb while you're attending a concert or a worship service. All right, so that is handy function number 3. Handy function number 4 is related to the brightness controls. Right, so there is a brightness control where you can control the brightness of your screen with a slider. Once again, there is a long press surprise in that you do a long press on the brightness control and you can now put your phone into dark mode or into night shift or into true tone. Dark mode is the mode where your screen goes black and all of the text is white. Night shift does the color filtering intended to eliminate some of the blue lights, which tend to keep you awake at night. And two tone is essentially a color correction process. So depending upon your lighting, it will attempt to correct the color. All of those functions are available in that long press surprise. Pretty handy function. And then finally, handy function number 5 is related to your flashlight in that you can tap on the flashlight icon and that will turn on the flashlight. It is the only native switch that you can find on your iPhone in order to turn the flashlight on or off. So getting comfortable with the control center is 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 worth it, if only for being able to quickly access the flashlight when you need it. Once again, there's a long press surprise on the flashlight in that if you hold it down, you can actually control the brightness of your flashlight, right? It's pretty cool. And then you can turn it off. So those are the 5 handiest functions that I think exist on the control center. The whole set of network controls, the audio controls, the do not disturb, the brightness control, and finally the flashlight. And don't forget, each of them has a long press surprise. Now, there's another great capability that will allow you to get more out of the control center, and that is it is possible for you to add or remove icons from the bottom of the control center. So when you look at this screenshot, there's 2 rows of icons. Right now, when you're looking at the camera, flashlight, calculator, magnifier, um, those icons in those 2 rows can be customized in order to give you functions that are more useful to your purpose. Right? And so what we want to do is we want to show you how you can make those changes. All right, so let me get into demo mode here once again. And in order to do this, we are going to go into the settings app. So we're going to tap on settings. We are then going to scroll down settings until we find control center. You tap on control center and then customize controls. The list that you are now looking at, if you're following along, this whole list would be all of the available options that you can put onto the control center. On include, up at the top of this list, these are the items that are currently in play. More controls would be other options that you have, right? So here's how I make the changes. If you would like to put the alarm, right, which is the second one with the green plus sign, you can tap on that green plus sign and notice that alarm moved up to the include list. If you would like to remove the text size from the control center, I tap on the red minus sign and it'll then ask for a confirmation to remove, and that it now removed it from the standard and moved it down to the bottom. Up at the top under include, you can also rearrange these icons. So the first 4 on each row, you can drag using the 3 gray lines in order to rearrange those icons. Pretty handy function. At the end, you just want to make sure that you have functions that are useful for you, whether it might be doing alarms or timers or voice memos or stopwatch. There are 21 options altogether that you can choose to distribute across the bottom 2 rows of the control center. All right, that's it. We did it. So what did we learn today? Well, our focus here was getting more from the control center. We talked about what the control center was. We talked about how to access the control center. Remember, if you have an iPhone with a home button, you're going to swipe up from the bottom, put your finger next to the home button. On the other hand, if you have an iPhone without a home button, you're going to swipe down from the upper right, put your finger on the battery, and pull down. We did a tour of the control center where we focused on the 5 handiest: the network, the audio, do not disturb, the brightness, and the flashlight. make your own decisions about what you find handy. And then we showed you how to use the Settings app in order to customize the control center so that the icons that are on the bottom rows of the control center can be customized in order to serve you better. Those are the approaches that we can use to get more out of the control center. Now, more information about these tools can be found on the links, links.seniortechclub.com/live11. If you go down to the bottom of that page, you'll see a couple of our control center recipes from the Senior Tech Club site. Additionally, these sessions are going to continue, and if you want future session information, you can go to links.seniortechclub.com/live. There you can see future topics, and you can also go back and retrieve the previous topics if you want to revisit, even watch the video archive of those sessions. All right, so once again, thanks for coming to this late night version of Senior Tech Club Live. Please stay well, stay at home, keep washing your hands, keep learning, keep exploring, and we'll see you online in the future. Bye now.